Good fruit. Okay, so what are you saying? Am I a good tree or a bad tree? Or I'm not sure you're talking about me, but
Who's talking about who?
Oh, I see. You recognize people by their fruits.
Oh, Cloud.
Cloud. Okay, I mean, sort of, but a lot of people's fruits you can't see. Most people's fruits you can't see. Like, let's say your name's Joe and you're living in Bishop, California, where Kimberly now lives. You cannot see the fruits that she's grew on her from her tree there. You can't see the damage that she did to various people because they're not in her life anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Good. Look at his handsome face.
Cloud, what does that have to do with what I just said at all? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I know she moved to Bishop. I wish her well. I hope she's happy. I hope she's good. And, yeah, whatever. I don't have ill will towards Kimberly. I have a very different general attitude towards that one. My attitude towards her is very different than towards Kimberly, who once she left my life, I've not heard a peep from her. You know, she's not trying to be a spite monkey. She's not.
That's because that's for her.
This is for her. This is for Kimberly.
Because you wished well for her.
I did wish well for her. I don't think she's a bad human being. I think she was.
Careful, kitty.
I think from my experience, she's probably not a good idea for her to be in a one-on-one relationship.
Right now, anyway.
Right, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to dismiss her. Right. There's a certain amount of ability to trust that's required to be successfully in a healthy relationship, as far as I can tell. I could be wrong about that. I can't imagine all possibilities, but as far as I can tell, you gotta have a certain capacity to trust. It may be that she could trust somebody else a lot better than me because I've been told by others I'm kind of intimidating. And that may have triggered her more than somebody who's weak-willed would trigger her. It's true, but I lament the fact that the narrative is such that Kimberly is my abusive ex. It's more properly to say that she is my ex who had attachment disorder. Did that make her abusive? Yeah, it did. So I mean, what can I say? But but she's not a bad person to other people besides me or her relationship partner, and that's what I always want to stress with her and not badmouth her because she's really good with animals. She'll save any animal that's hurting at all, and to me that speaks highly of a person to some degree, extent at least. Yes, sure. So Candace said, I was wondering, maybe you guys don't understand each other, so it makes it look like the relationship is abusive. That's the sort of thing that there's a sort of argument I made for a long time. That I tried to find lots of different ways to work my way from this increasingly disastrous misadventure into a healthy relationship. And at the end of the day, my objective analysis of it could not be denied that here I was taking a great deal of care in my communication. I had previously gotten the idea that that there were, how you should treat people in your relationship. But I hadn't really gotten a super clear idea of how you ought not make deal with the other person in your relationship in full. So what I mean by that is I never actually been put in a position where I had to resist the temptation, as I did all the time with Kimberly. Even when I was screaming inside my lungs, I was not hitting below the belt. Well, I think Kimberly did that briefly at the very start of the breakup. But I think she abandoned that almost immediately. So, for example, there was a live stream that the only live stream ever where a troll has come in and made me quit. And that was fairly shortly after the breakup, and it was Kimberly who came in and started trolling me. And I just said, okay, you win.
I remember that.
You made me depressed, and this isn't fun anymore. I'm quitting now.
And you were living there.
No, I don't think I was.
Oh. I thought you were in the garage.
No, I'm pretty sure I was here. The thing is, after that happened, I never heard anything from her again. I think she realized that it wasn't going to play well, but also she was really mad, you know?
Yeah, she got out.
Yeah, and the thing is, she's not fundamentally vindictive. Now, in contrast, I've had a couple of other parties that have felt hurt by me in some way and have proved themselves to be extraordinarily vindictive, spiteful, and downright malevolent.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly I've found that to be the case with the WC, as they call her. WC has been just almost the dictionary definition of toxic and cancerous and awful.
What's been going on lately? Do you know?
It wasn't that long ago, a couple weeks on my birthday, that she came around and said she just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can always, and she makes a point of making. Maybe she has been through some things that she needed to escape from. She just needs to be shown some kindness. Oh, okay. Countess, I dealt with that girl and Spacey for quite a while before she destroyed that.
Are they still together?
I don't know. That's what somebody's saying is maybe they're not sure. But I have no way to prove that this is exactly what happened. But around Christmas time, Rachel had an episode in which she had to be hospitalized. And I got to see what an actual manifestation or display of real mental illness looks like.
Remembers. Thanks, people.
Not that long after that.
You.
And a note that as Rachel was going off the rails, Tori texted her, trying to get her to meet with Tori and Spacey, independently of me, because they knew how I was manipulating her and controlling her and letting her have no privacy and stuff, that kind of stuff, right? Shortly after that whole thing went down, and here was the problem that she had in that instance. So her awfulness wasn't a central narrative at all, but her awfulness during that period of time came out during my discussion of that whole episode and all the challenges with that. Now, anybody who was there and watching those series of videos when Rachel was hospitalized and stuff at Christmas can see very clearly that in no way, shape, or form was I awful, exploitative, or whatever,
No.
I wasn't any of those things.
No, not at all.
And
with me during that time?
towards you, right?
No, not at all.
And so, but the problem is, Tori had tried to take advantage of Rachel's mental instability at that moment to get her to talk shit about me.
Yeah, but I told you, right?
Yeah, well, sure. In the process, one of the things that she said was she didn't want to talk to Rachel unless Rachel was interested in hearing negative things about me. So I was like, okay, well, Jesus, what an awful person. Anyway, shortly after all that shit went down, and the attacks that the Spite Monkeys had been launching against my relationship with Rachel that were based in this fundamental lie that somehow I was controlling and didn't respect women and treated them like exploiting Rachel, doesn't care about her, will toss her aside, and whatever other things they were saying. Or nor am I this controlling person who's always invading her privacy and looking at her stuff and only letting her have her phone. It's like those lies about me. They weren't working at all. It's pretty obvious those don't work. Anyway, shortly after that, she posted in the Talking with Famous People Facebook group this post about her needing to go to the mental hospital and stuff. I can read it to you because I have a picture of it. Note, there's no sense of self-check regarding the fact that she's putting shit in my Facebook, it's like a channel's Facebook group, but supposedly hates me so much. Like, why does that not create some sort of cognitive dissonance? I don't know. So this is Tori's post in the Technical Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
January 21st. So, less than a month after Rachel done with the hospital and back in New York, I wanted to share my hubby's new video on his channel, just updating y'all on how we've been doing. Mental health is definitely the topic of the year for us so far. And I thought I'd reach out and say I won't be available for the next 7 to 10 days because I'll be admitted to a local mental hospital. No new symptoms or events have happened to me, but I have to get intensive care due to severe psychological and physical trauma I grew up with. I'm finally getting the care that I need. Then she talks about how she wants people to call Spacey and keep him company while she's in the hospital. Well, I did call Spacey, actually. And what I learned was she answered those questions like, do you think about hurting yourselves or others? Those kind of questions. She answered them in order to get herself involuntarily admitted in such a way as to get herself involuntarily admitted. And the thing is, Rachel never, ever would say, yes, I'm concerned about hurting myself or others.
Oh my God.
She never
get into a place.
She
would never.
Rachel wants more than anything in the world to stay out of mental hospital forevermore.
Mm-hmm.
But Tori wants to go into one because why? Because she felt as though, this is my intuition on it, because she felt as though our dealing with a real life problem somehow gave us and me specifically a narrative advantage. And she wanted to claim it for herself as well. I honestly, that's my intuition.
I think you're right. I think you're right on the money.
And it's just like, okay, this girl is terrible.
Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. That's like she's being a backhanded friend too. Like I'm giving her all this information about me during a panic moment, and then she's like, "Oh, it worked for them, so it'll work for me." It was tragic for me. It was terrifying as well. And being in a hospital is no joke. Like there are people who do like admit themselves because they really do like need to be there. But it doesn't seem like it didn't seem as important for some reason. It didn't seem like it was an emergency to me from what she was saying.
Wait, she says it's not an emergency at all. No new symptoms or events have occurred. Well, then why is she getting forcibly admitted to the hospital for 7 to 10 days? Because she purposely answered the questions so that they would do that to her. When I talked to Spacey, we didn't talk long. Basically, what I learned from Spacey was that, I'm like, Spacey, it's sad to me not to talk to you again. And
well, it doesn't have sometimes to be
sometimes relationships just don't persist. It's like, well, okay, whatever.
Yeah, well, maybe you guys could be friends again someday.
Yeah, well, once he jettisons the toxic waste dump around his
neck. What's my diagnosis? I've been diagnosed as bipolar with the manic not manic depressive. My phone.
Yeah, I've heard about this video, I think, by Becky, some sort of Becky video analyzing how awful it must be to be with me and how she knows what I'm like and stuff. Apparently, it doesn't really say anything except she knows what I'm like. Because man, I'm not gonna waste my time watching it. The thing about Becky, of course, is she lost any possible legitimacy in anyone's eyes when she emailed my dad a bunch of times. To defame me to him out of just spite. That's all. Just spite. The only reason. So as far as I'm concerned, if I heard somebody did that and knew the specifics enough to realize that that's exactly what it was, this incredibly spiteful person emailing my elderly father. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, no relationship, as far as I'm concerned, has to go down the toilet. Yeah, some people choose to go with the dark side, and they have to live with the consequences of that. Okay, well, listen, I am totally interested and totally okay in hearing any legitimate critiques about my bad behavior as a relationship partner. This is why Becky will always fail. To the extent that she made good points. No, you're saying Becky made good points of critique about me. I want to know what they are so I can learn from them or disagree with them. And I'm not interested in fighting to say I'm always right or that she doesn't have any good points. In fact, I've many times said Becky's quite insightful. Has said many helpful things to me in the past. That's how we can tell the good guys from the bad guys. Well, you're the one. No, I'm not asking you about the video. I'm asking you. You made the claim that you heard a couple of good points. So I'd like you to explain to me which good points you've taken away from that. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to support her in any way. Okay, so Cam Bone says that Becky implied that I was holding Rachel hostage and not letting her break up with me. I mean, Rachel?
What?
Did you hear that? No.
No.
Becky's central claim that apparently is that I was somehow holding you hostage and not letting you break up with me.
No way. What?
Oh, the good point is you don't need a reason to leave a relationship. That's true. I've never told Rachel she has to have a good reason to leave the relationship. I've told her what the deal breaker for me is I need to know my partner is in it long term, permanently, or whatever.
Yeah.
If she's not like that, then we're not, whatever. That's her prerogative. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody. Mm-hmm. Quite the opposite. I'm saying, hey, I want you to want to be in this relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be in this relationship, there's the door.
Yeah.
No, I was never in a relationship with Becky. She was a friend and a community member. I tried to imply that at one point that I was somehow attracted to her, had the hots for her, or jealous of her, or something. The only person she was able to convince of that briefly was Taylor, because it was forced slot and I. Of course. So what you mentioned is your Adderall use and how Rachel felt about being with you when your personality changed from being on and off, in my opinion, is that you should be consistent in behavior. Well, I mean, that's a reasonably fair critique, I guess. The thing is, I do change in my personality somewhat when I'm on Adderall. And it's also true that I'm, I guess, somewhat less loving on Adderall, like actively loving. But the thing to remember, Ghostwriter, is that's where the misrepresentation comes in. Rachel is not having to deal with me having a lot of ups and downs. I'm on Adderall, but I'm not very volatile. You know, I'm actually quite consistent in my responses to things,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether I'm on it or not.
Yep. He's more consistent than I am.
So it's like, it doesn't matter what or if any drug I'm on, certain things will piss me off. And they'll piss me off no matter what. And in general, I'm very easygoing. And I'm easygoing no matter what, whether I'm on Adderall or not. I like to think I'm easy to be with. I've heard from every woman I've ever been with, including Rachel, that I am somewhat difficult to be with. I accept that reality.
Yeah, but I'm pretty difficult too. I'm very intense. I am very crazy about fairness.
I mean,
But I love you.
this is the thing, Countess, and Ghost Rider as well. It's you have to think about it like this. If you've got variance in your affect that's like this, that's a problem. Because variance in the affect means unpredictability, and unpredictability is kind of difficult to tolerate. And I'm saying, yeah, I have a lot of variance. But my variance is like this. So just because we use the same word for it doesn't mean it's the same thing. I'm not volatile. I'm quite predictable. Rachel will confirm that I, by and large, don't make mistakes out of anger. I don't hit below the belt. I don't say things I regret saying.
No. Well, sometimes you are very careful.
There's almost always a reason that someone would leave a relationship, ranging from not loving the other person anymore to domestic violence problems, and the other person deserves to know why, but they can't impede the other from leaving. I have never tried to impede Rachel from leaving. There have been a few fights where we've played chicken. That's fine. I'm packing my bags. It's fine. I'm taking you to the train station, Rachel.
That is playing chicken. Yeah.
No, I would not try to prevent her. The reality is,
I'm 35, so like I'm still young, and when we first started going out, I was fresh out of some like really bad situations, so I'm still healing, and I have been saying that for quite some time now.
And I've made a few mistakes in this relationship because of my own damage and healing processes, which is to say, I've allowed myself to frame narratives for my own insecurities and fears when I ought to have accepted the truth of things instead. Okay, but see, that then at that point, Ghost Rider, you're not talking about a legitimate critique, right? At that point, you've internalized from her a really devious kind of lie that because a person's standard norm involves frequency, vacillations, that they're fundamentally unpredictable and bad. Now that's just, look, it's true that I'm most well served by going on cycles of being on Adderall and off. It's important for me to have productive periods, and it's important for me to have unproductive periods as well. That is the best manifestation of myself. Rachel loves me. And that includes, you're right, Ghost Rider, we did talk about it. It was a subject of conversation. The point is, at that moment, Rachel was having an episode because she was shifting meds. She had stopped taking the one med and it was a day off, and before she started taking the other med, she hadn't slept in days, and she felt as though she was being less attended to me during those few days of my working. But the other thing to remember, Ghost Rider, is it would have been exactly the same thing had I been off actually at a job. No difference. Same thing.
True.
When Countess or Ghost Rider or anybody else is talking about side effects of my drug, what you really should say is part of who Eric is, because you're being really ontologically assaultive. The fact that I take those medications and have incorporated that into my ontology does not make my ontology fundamentally less legitimate than yours or anybody else's. It doesn't make my state of being, because I'm on those meds some of the time and not, less correct than to not be on them at all. Not good to develop dependency, though. I'm not dependent on those drugs. Obviously, I would, if I were dependent on them, I wouldn't go on 2 weeks, off 2 weeks, on 2 weeks, off 2 weeks, right? That's not addiction. That's not dependency. That's choosing to manage my ontology with a certain chemical element that legitimately has a positive impact on my life. I'm not even trying to normalize drugs here. I'm saying you've internalized some false assumptions that are going to allow you to justify to yourself reducing me in ways that are fundamentally bad. So you're wrong about the Adderall. Yes, Rachel and I had a fight around that topic, but it was really about Rachel getting accustomed to the fact that not always can I pay full attention to her.
It was tough.
You know, she's got a much. There's no disputing the fact she's got a much tougher road to hoe here than I do. She's coming into somebody else's life.
This is what's happening right now,
and so that's a stressor. You know?
I don't think that's unwise. I think it's wise to be skeptical. You know, I'm trying out my meds right now too. Honestly, right? When you say I want a trial and error, hey, where's the beer?
Right there, but I'm looking for the opener.
Oh.
Here's the thing. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I'm skeptical about the meds because I don't believe myself to be treating anything. I'm not taking medication to treat something. I am taking advantage of my ability to optimize my life with this chemical.
Oh.
You know, so for me, it's different. Rachel's actually treating something. Maybe you are too, whoever else was saying that. But I don't really think of myself as treating anything at all. I'm living as I want to live, which is to say, I prefer to have this cycle of extra productivity and then extra sloth. I like both sides of it.
Me too.
So what's wrong with that? Why should that be considered a bad thing at all? Do you think I could have gotten this girlfriend at all without Adderall? Probably not. I wouldn't have gotten nearly as much work done. I wouldn't have been impressive enough. You know? What do you mean hashtag tangent? How is that a tangent, Ghostwriter? It's not okay. Look, it may be useless to argue about if my goal is to convince you. What I want to make sure everybody understands is there will be rhetorical consequences to expressing your false assumptions if those false assumptions are about the legitimacy of somebody linking to their drug use. It's a personal issue for me. So I may not convince you, but I'm going to make sure you understand that you're wrong. You might not agree with that. I'm going to make sure that you understand that I'm not going to tolerate wrongness in that area. So next time you bring it, you better not be weak ass shit.
Boom.
They aren't false. Denial about being an addict. Okay, so let's say I'm addicted to Adderall, which by any meaningful definition of the word, I'm not. But let's just say I am. Why does that fundamentally delegitimize it? I'm addicted to cigarettes. Does that make me less legitimate as a person? Why? No, I'm not trying to spin circles to avoid that truth, Ghostwriter. Remember, I'm somebody who deals with those kind of truths really well. That's why I quit drinking entirely, because I had to accept the truth of it. That's why I have a good contrast. I can tell what it's like to use drugs unhealthily because I've done it. I've been there. I've been a meth addict. I've been an alcoholic. And I can tell you what it looks like to use drugs well and successfully because I've done that too. Now, if you can't understand that that contrast is pretty determinant in the matter and that my experience is the only data that really matters here, then you're being wicked. You're being willfully wicked at that point. Because what I'm telling you is clearly the truth. I've not wavered from it in any of these 5 or 6 years that I have been live streaming. Ever since I quit alcohol, haven't wavered in it at all. Now, note, before I quit alcohol, I was very unclear about what the problem was. I used to blame all the drugs. Or maybe it's the speed that's the problem. Maybe it's the weed that's the problem. I'm not worried about your wrongness possibly having a shred of rightness to it at all. I know myself, my life. I've lived my life for 49 years. I've been addicted to various things. I have an actual nuanced, depth understanding of the matter. I also understand that everybody always necessarily has what are called temporal bargaining issues. For some people, it relates to drugs. For others, gambling, sex, whatever. I'm not talking circles. If you can't accept the reality that these words are compelling, powerful, and true, then you're not interested in communicating. Thanks for being here, everybody. Talk to you later.